Welcome, age of vintage society. The impact Jackie Robinson made on Major League Baseball is one that will forever be remembered. On April 15th each season, every team in the majors celebrates Jackie Robinson Day in honour of when he broke the colour barrier in baseball, becoming the first African American player in the 20th century to take the field in the big leagues. He opened the door for many others and will forever be honoured for his contribution to the game. How Jackie Robinson broke the colour barriers in baseball. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Jackie Robinson broke the colour barrier when he became the first black athlete to play Major League Baseball. Robinson became the first black athlete to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers in the 20th century. Throughout his decade-long career, Robinson distinguished himself as one of the game's most talented and exciting players, recording an impressive .311 career batting average. He was also a vocal civil rights activist. By that standard, few people and no athlete this century has impacted more lives. Robinson lit the torch and passed it on to several generations of African American athletes. While the Brooklyn Dodgers infielder didn't make a nation colourblind, he at least made it more colour-friendly. A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives, Jackie Robinson once said. Robinson stood up for equal rights even before he did so in baseball. He was arrested and court-martialed while he was serving in the army for refusing to move to the back of a segregated bus. He was eventually acquitted of the charges and received an honourable discharge. He then started his professional baseball career. Facing retaliation and boycotts, Jackie Robinson integrates America's pastime when he debuts with the Brooklyn Dodgers in a season that would end with him as Rookie of the Year and the first African American to play in the World Series. Jack Roosevelt Robinson was born in Cairo, Georgia, in 1919 to a family of sharecroppers. In 1920 his father left the family. Robinson's mother single-handedly raised Jackie and her 4 other children and moved to Pasadena, California, where she worked at a variety of jobs to support the family, but they lived in poverty. They were the only black family on their block, and the prejudice they encountered only strengthened their bond. From this humble beginning would grow the first baseball player to break Major League Baseball's colour barrier that segregated the sport for more than 50 years. After graduating from Pasadena Junior College in 1939, he enrolled at the University of California at Los Angeles. Jackie excelled early at all sports and learned to make his own way in life. At UCLA, Jackie became the first athlete to win varsity letters in 4 sports: baseball, basketball, football and track. In 1936, Robinson won the Junior Boys Singles Championship in the annual Pacific Coast Negro Tennis Tournament, and he also earned a spot on the Pomona, California annual baseball tournament's all-star team, which included future Hall of Famers Ted Williams and Bob Lemon. A former UCLA football All-American, had played college and semi-pro baseball but was lacking professional experience. He strengthened the Monarchs' war-depleted infield and displayed the right attitude and winning spirit typical of a college athlete. He proved to be an outstanding hitter for both average .345 and power. On the bases he was an outstanding base stealer and an aggressive base runner who also utilised his speed with the bunt and the hit-and-run play. The hustling ex-college man was one of the best infielders in the Negro Leagues that season and was expected to improve with more experience, but it was felt that shortstop was not his best position. He had some difficulty going into the hole and making the play. During World War II in 1942, Robinson was drafted and assigned to a segregated Army cavalry unit in Fort Riley, Kansas. In January 1943, Robinson was commissioned a second lieutenant, although his service was marred when he was court-martialed for refusing a civilian bus driver's order to move to the back of the bus during a trip back to the base. After a brief trial, he received an honourable discharge in 1944. The incident was played out in a 1990 movie, The Court-Martial of Jackie Robinson. While in basic training, he struck up a warm friendship with fellow recruit and champion boxer Joe, the Brown Bomber, Lewis. who had famously bested the German Max Schmeling during a politically charged bout in 1938. Robinson and Lewis often played golf together in their off hours, and Lewis later used his prestige to help Jackie and several other black soldiers win entrance into the Army's Officer Candidate School after they were unfairly denied admission because of their race. Robinson then joined the Kansas City Monarchs, a Negro League team. In August of 1944, Robinson was still with the Monarchs when Branch Rickey approached him about playing for the Dodgers organization. Robinson spent the 1946 season with the Dodgers farm team, the Montreal Royals, for a $3,500 bonus and $600 a month. Although I was wearing the colours of the enemy, the Jersey City fans gave me a fine ovation. And he accomplished this feat by going against his natural instincts. He was an aggressive man, outraged at injustice and quick to stand up for his rights. He had the guts to say no when ordered to the back of the bus in the army, and was court-martialed for his courage. His instinct wasn't to turn the other cheek, but to face problems head-on. He was more prone to fighting back than holding back. He married his college sweetheart, Rachel Ism. The couple had 3 children, Jackie Jr., Sharon and David. Robinson often received death threats against himself and his family, but in 1951 the danger seemed so imminent that the feds were called in to investigate. Shortly before a game in Ohio, a mysterious source calling itself 3 Travelers sent letters to the police, the Cincinnati Reds, and a local paper, vowing to shoot Robinson with a scoped rifle as soon as he stepped onto the field. The FBI looked into the matter, but to the fans' delight, Robinson still played and even belted a home run over the center field fence. In 1945, baseball policies separating black and white players changed forever when Brooklyn Dodgers general manager Branch Rickey signed a contract with Jackie Robinson that would bring him into the major leagues. Rickey wanted Robinson not only for his talent and style of play, but also because of his demeanour. He knew Robinson would have to endure mental and physical abuse, and Rickey wanted him to handle it without fighting back. Robinson endured teammates and crowds who opposed his presence and threats to himself and his family, with honour and grace. Rickey, who called the move baseball's great experiment, knew that the player chosen to cross the colour line would have to be a strong individual, able to stand up to intense public observation and also be able to avoid confrontation even when met with insults and hostility. After being signed by the Dodgers, he was shifted to second base, a more suitable position at Montreal, and during his 10-year Major League career he also played on both corners and in the outfield. Robinson's role as the first black ball player in the majors during modern times has been well chronicled. Robinson was known for his skill at bunting. He is remembered as an electrifying base runner. He stole home base 19 times during his career, but his game also had a less flashy side. Always a team player, Robinson regularly laid down bunts and sacrificed hits to allow his teammates to advance on base or score. His first ever hit in the major leagues was a bunt, and he went on to lead the league with 28 sacrifice hits during his debut season. Of the 46 bunts Robinson laid down in 1947, all except 4 resulted in either a base hit or a sacrifice. After a year on a minor league team to sharpen his skills, he put on his first Dodgers uniform, number 42, in April 1947. Cautioned to prove himself worthy because of other black players' futures depended on his success, Robinson maintained a subdued posture. It was the most eagerly anticipated debut in the annals of the national pastime. Authors Robert Lipsyte and Pete Levine wrote, "It represented both the dream and the fear of equal opportunity, and it would change forever the complexion of the game and the attitudes of Americans." With the admission of other African Americans to baseball, Robinson began to aggressively advocate more honest integration. His exposés of racial prejudice in baseball helped better the lot of black players, but also branded him a troublemaker. Reaction to Robinson from baseball fans and players ranged from enthusiasm and joy to hostility and death threats. However, his talent on the field could not be denied, and he won respect, as well as the first Rookie of the Year award in 1947. In 1949 he won the National League's Most Valuable Player award, leading the league with a .342 batting average and 37 stolen bases. Off the field he was the subject of everything from songs to a feature-length film about his life. Robinson even starred as himself in the movie The Jackie Robinson Story. Released in 1950, it was one of the first films to portray a black man as an American hero. Robinson retired from baseball after the 1956 season. A legend even in his day, he was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962, his first year of eligibility. He also founded Freedom National Bank in Harlem in 1964, a time during which there were very few black-owned banks. Robinson's many firsts weren't confined to the ball field. After retiring from sports, he took a job with the coffee shop chain Chock-full of Nuts and became the first black vice president of a major American corporation. In 1965 he made history again when he joined ABC TV Sports as the nation's first black baseball announcer. Jackie Robinson died of a heart attack on October 24, 1972 at his home in Stamford, Connecticut. He was 53. On March 26, 1984, Robinson was posthumously awarded the nation's highest civilian honour, the Medal of Freedom, by President Ronald Reagan. In 1996, the US Congress and President Clinton authorised a coin to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Robinson's 1947 entry into Major League Baseball. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about the life and legacy of Jackie Robinson? Jackie Robinson's life and legacy will be remembered as one of the most important in American history.